Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joy Agnes, and I am so happy to be here. Sorry for the bit of a delay, but like Peter was saying, I'm being mic'd like a security guard, so that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but it's okay. We're here now and we're going to start. 26 years ago, when I started this journey as a wedding/event planner, I was told it would never work. I'm wasting my time. It's a bunch of foolishness. Don't get involved. I'm going to waste all my money and all of the above. That was the advice of my big sister. How many of us in the audience today have had that experience? Amazing, isn't it? 26 years later, I am a destination wedding specialist. I travel a lot doing exactly what I'm doing right now, speaking. I also teach at Miami-Dade and Broward colleges in South Florida, wedding and event planning. And I'm excited really to be here at this forum to welcome all the upcoming wedding and event planners. It is my privilege and my pleasure to share a few of my experiences with you. How many people in this audience has ever been homeless? Nobody? Nobody's never been homeless? What does homelessness look like? You're looking at a young lady that has been homeless. Right after I became a widow, right after, like 6 months after, I became homeless. How you like that now? Hard work, dedication, putting your life together always pays off. Always pays off. Don't allow anyone in your life, in your social graces, to ever tell you what you can and cannot do. This is your dream. Follow your dream. This is your destiny. Make it happen. It doesn't always come together the way you would like it to be, but eventually it falls into place. The world is full of naysayers. Listen, don't digest it. It's up to you to perfect your craft. Wrong or right? How many people sitting in the audience has just become a wedding planner? And I'm talking like less than 6 months. You are. Okay, I've got 2. How recent have you become a wedding planner? 3 months. And you?
6 months.
Okay, so you're out of the picture. Come, honey. Come up to the podium. Come around. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, the next person on my list would be, I'm asking a question and I'm looking for an answer. What is the most important thing in planning a wedding? Please. Excuse me? Listening to your client, yes. Anybody else? Yes, let me have it. Paying attention to details. Anybody else? Who said that? Come here. The most important thing is getting to know your client. If you don't build a relationship with the people you're getting ready to work for and with, you don't have a client. What do you have? A customer, someone that came to see you. You don't want that. From day one, you need to build a relationship.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And I'll tell you in a minute what those are. My last and final question is, what is the most trending color right now? Excuse me? Pastel? Pastel is a collection of colors. I need one specific color. Okay, you can't throw them all at me. I'm going to take it one at a time. Orange? No. No lavender, no purple. No. No. Who said blue? Come here. Blue is known as the color of trust. And that simply means that when you have a bridal party and they're raving right now, it's blues, or different shades of hues of blues, of course. But the thing about blue is, as I said, it's a color of trust. And people will tell you, I want to be in that position. I want to feel like I can trust my husband. I can trust my wife. I want to trust my wedding planner. Congratulations. Now, what I've been passing out are called wed tins. What I'm passing out are called wed tins. And let me tell you what I do with a wed tin. A wed tin is all the little things you will need for weddings. A Band-Aid, disposable toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash. Sounds crazy? It doesn't? Why not? I said I'm going to make you guys work. Everybody else spoke to you. I'm going to have you speak to me because we're going to work this out today. Why is it important? Anything can happen. Be prepared for the unexpected when you are a wedding planner. This business is not for the faint at heart. It's a lot of work. It's a labor of love. It's tiresome. As my BDM would say, my business development manager would say, I want to go to bed, who happens to be fortunately my daughter, and I said, money doesn't sleep. You got to wake up. When I go to bed, you go to bed, but I'm tired, you'll sleep when you're dead. We've got work to do. And it's very important that you pay attention to the details. Preparing yourself and dressing yourself for the marketplace is my topic. How do you want to be referred to or as? The wedding planner down the street? The go-to wedding planner? The one that is successful? How do you want your peers to perceive you? You want to be the florist, the flower shop owner, the floral designer? How do you see yourself? You have to remember, in this business, you sell without selling. You never use the word sell. But what are you doing? You are? You are serving. You're offering a service. And with that service comes with a price. And that price is when you get paid. Now, when you get paid, is the return and the labor of your hard work, which we interpret it to be money, isn't it? Huh? Most times it is. But what happens if you get a bride or groom that can't pay you? Would you do a job for free? You wouldn't? You will? Let me see by the show of hands how many people will do a free wedding. Well, let me tell you something. I've done a free wedding. And from that one free wedding, I had 20 weddings. How was that? She could not have afforded to pay me, and I said, don't matter about it, it's okay. Because a couple of months before, they both lost their jobs. We're in the planning stages. What are we going to do? Say no? We finished it. It went well. I got 20 weddings after. So not only did I get paid for the one wedding, but I get how many more after that? Never refuse a job. It's never too big or too small. In the wedding industry, there are 3 levels. The small budget, the middle budget, and as everybody would like, the what? The no budget. Why the no budget? Everything at their disposal. I see. Okay, anybody else would like to have a no budget wedding? Let me tell you something about a no budget wedding. Put your roller skates on, because you're going to work for it. It's detail, detail, detail. High end, detail. Make sure you are prepared for a no-budget wedding. Don't get caught along the tracks and get sidetracked. Because even though there's a no budget, somebody's watching the budget. So you would have to give account at the end of the day for everything else that's not listed that you might have spent. Don't get caught in that. That's number one. Number two, always remember when you're dealing with a client, as I would like to call it, the 4 C's. And what is that? Cool, calm, collective, creative. If you can follow those 4, you'll be fine. Because number one, nobody wants a nervous wedding planner, and I have seen quite a few of those. The bride is telling them what to do instead of they holding their own and directing it in the direction it's supposed to go in. When you're calm, you hear a lot more than if you're talking and they're talking. Now, it's not a forum for that. You sit and you listen to your bride or you listen to your groom. Some brides do not plan their own weddings. Did you know that? Who does it? Their who? Their mother and father? Okay, surprise, surprise, the husbands are. We have had more men coming into my office now telling me this is what I would like to have done and this is what I would like to see more of. Why is that so? Because for years these guys feel that they were left out. And a lot of women now in today's society does not want to be bothered with that D word. What's the D word? Details. A lot of women don't. So these guys are taking over and they're planning, which is a good thing, because not only do I get his input, I get the input of him, his dad, his brother, his uncle, all the past, which is a wonderful thing. Then the bride would come in and she'd say, well, okay, I would like to have this, this, and this added. Wonderful. So be prepared and be alert to know that there are guys out there that's going to plan their own wedding. So you're being cool, you're being calm, collective. When I say collective, what do I mean? Paying attention to detail, making sure you're on your A game, as we would like to say, making sure that you're easy and accessible for your bride and groom is very, very important. So now you're cool, calm, collective, and what's the other word? Creative. What are we doing here? You see, Cinderella had a fairy godmother, and this is what we are to brides and grooms. You bring me your idea, and what do I do with it? I turn it into reality. And when we turn it into reality, it's as simple as knowing it's going to be done, the job will be done, and we'll be able to execute it efficiently. It's very important to know who your bride and groom is. So I have created within my company, which is Joy Agnes Events, it's not up there as yet. But what I have done is to have a getting to know you session. And with that getting to know you session, I sit down and we may have tea or coffee, and I speak to my bride and groom because I want to know where they're coming from, what brought them to this end of their journey, and where they're going to go beyond. Once you can establish that factor, you're in good hands. They will then develop a level of compatibility between yourself and them. So it makes things easier to flow. She says, okay, I want a yellow dress, and then I want to change it into a white dress. Just listen to her analogy behind what she's saying, and then you'll be able to understand the bride you're working with. Some brides, when you meet with them for the first time, they're confused, disillusioned, and don't know where they're going. Don't get turned off by that. Make sure you make her as comfortable as possible, and you will find as time goes by, you'll be able to define between the fine lines what is it they're really wanting. Make sense? Okay. It is very important to always deliver your best. You have to remember that you are your best-selling client. The way you look, the way you talk, the way you connote your behaviors says a lot about the individual you are. Nobody wants to come to a wedding planner and you're asking them questions and they're sitting there. That's a very one-sided conversation. When you're a wedding planner / event designer, you need to know what you're doing and what you're going to deliver. You need to know flowers, you need to know color, you need to know seasons of the flowers. If you have a bride that's coming to you in November that wants sunflowers, what's the story there? Can you deliver that? You can if you have a vendor that you work with that can order those flowers for you to make sure that you are able to deliver it. If not, you cannot have sunflowers the time of the year. It's not happening. And then you're saying, yes, I can deliver it, and then you can't deliver it, and then what happens then? We have a big problem, a major problem. You can't change it at the end. Make sure that whatever it is that they're asking for or about, you are able to deliver. You have to also remember that vendor relationship is extremely important. You're as good as your vendor. You have to execute whatever it is you have promised your bridal party. And if you have a good vendor, you look good at the end of the day. And you have a right to look good at the end of the day because your vendor is who makes you and you make your vendor. If you go to a vendor that does not know what he or she's doing, make sure you change that individual. If you're going to have a floral vendor that's going to come in and set your tables and put everything together, and you walk the room like I always do, and you find petals that are drooping and brown, what's going on there? Sorry? Nothing. What are you selling your bride? This is a business. Nobody wants to show up and their petals are brown and flowers that are drooping over and bending over. That's not a good vendor. Then he or she may say to you, well, you know, when I took them out this morning, they didn't look like that. There's no excuse for that. You are in a position to command what you want. Your clients are paying you for a service. Make sure at all times that you don't drop the ball. Now, the funny thing about life is we all want the best. But what is the best? Some people don't know what the best is. You have to teach them what the best is. A young lady came to me and she says, I want to have a beautiful wedding, but I can't tell you where I want to start. I have a problem. My problem is designing something out of the figment of my imagination that she wants, but I don't know what it is. So this is when I go to my drawing board and I say, okay, this is what I have to do. I'll do several renderings, 3 or 4 renderings. And by renderings, I know everybody knows what I mean, but different pictures on poster boards. Now I have 3 of them. I invite her back. Choose one. Now when she chooses one, now I have an idea of what she's looking for. We can either tear down a few of it, put in something else, take out something else, but by the end of the day, everybody's comfortable with what is being presented to him or her. And the only way you can do that again is by having a good relationship with your client. Sometimes it's very hard and it's very tedious to be able to meet their needs. Because a lot of brides in today's world are very, very knowledgeable because they're into Pinterest. A friend just got married. They have seen a lot of weddings on TVs. So what happens then? They want a bit of everything. No, stop the madness. Bring it down. This is what is going to happen. We're going to tailor-make your situation to suit you. Sometimes it's very hard. A lot of people have, I call it, champagne wishes on a biscuit budget. They want everything, but they can't afford to have it. So what do? I start tearing it apart in a very nice way. Sweetheart, you will not get that. You will get this. We're not doing this. We're doing that. And by the end of the day, what has happened is you've gotten all of the elements you want, but not for what you think you would have gotten. And you have to also be prepared, if you're in the wedding business, to make sure that no bride talks you into having the wedding like her friend had, her aunt had, or her cousin had. That is not acceptable. Change a few things. Because when they come to that wedding, you do not want them to look around and say, oh, I had that at my wedding. Who's your wedding designer? Really? This is, oh no. Who gets the credibility? Nobody. In this line of business, credibility is very important. Extremely important. If you're not credible, what happens? No business, no money. And it doesn't go that way. You have to be able to produce what is being asked of you. Sometimes it can be difficult, yes. There is a segment and a part of when I'm teaching, I always say to people, there's an A6. Has anybody ever heard of A6? The A6 concept? A6 is what you're preparing to do when you are putting a wedding or an event together. The first thing you have to consider in the A6 is anticipation. I'm sure there was a big anticipation getting here this morning. You couldn't wait to get here. You couldn't wait to hear the speakers. You couldn't wait to see what they look like. Wrong or right? So that's the first thing you have to create, that element when you're doing a wedding. The first thing is the invitation. The invitation sets the tone for what you can expect. If you get an invitation on the computer via email, I'm going to tell you right now, don't expect too much. It's exactly what it is. If you got an invitation in the mail, it's a little more respected in my book because you took the time to send it. And I love handwritten notes. It does not go out of style. I'm very old school. And I believe in the concept of things. I believe in raising the bar. I believe in making things happen to perfection. Now, you got an invitation, you're looking at it and say, this is an event I want to go to. Or there's a party somewhere in Jamaica, in the grill, somewhere, and you're going. What's the first thing you think of? What am I going to wear? Right? How I want to look. It's the same thing when you're invited out. The first thought is, I wonder how everybody else is going to look. I wonder what it's going to be like. I have to go to this event. The air of anticipation. Now the next thing is your arrival. When your brides arrive at their respective venues, it should say something to you. Everybody should be so stunned. You should have the wow factor. The wow factor, even though the word is overrated, is extremely important. Everything is not the wow factor. Some things are. But when you step out of that vehicle, being your bride and groom, their wedding party, their well-wishers, you want everybody to turn around and look at it. From the invitations to the dress to the decorations, detail, detail, detail. Extremely important. This is the road you want to walk. This is the path you're going to choose. Make sure that you execute everything within your power to make that special day not only special for the bride and groom, but also for the participants of their wedding. Because bridesmaids get married, groomsmen get married. What you want to do, build a relationship that those same people in that wedding party comes back to you. Now, you're not only building business, you're building a relationship. I mean, we have brides that come back for birthdays and anniversaries and baby showers. That's how business grows. And cousins come back because they attended this wedding and we want to be a part of somebody else's wedding, and that's how that goes. So you always have to be prepared for that. Now, the atmosphere is also very important. Your lighting, your decor, the setting of your tables, the ambiance of the room. And always make sure when you're doing what you're doing, you group like-minded people together. Do not put the funeral director with the makeup artist. There's nothing in common there. They're just people. Do not put the doctor with a podiatrist. They can't speak to each other. So you go down the list and you ask your wedding party, could you please tell me the kind of people you're anticipating at your reception? And they will tell you, well, I've got this group, and this is from my job, and they're telling you. Now, what we do is to actually try to group people like-mindedly so they have something to talk about. Because after a while of looking at the bride and groom, they want to talk to other people. Now that the bride and groom becomes invisible, we've seen them already. So now you started talking amongst yourselves. And what are you going to talk about if it's not like-minded? You have to be able to communicate effectively. Appetite. The first thing we do is eat with our eyes. So make sure that whoever the vendor is that's catering your event is somebody that's very pleasing to the eye. You must walk up and actually eat what's on that plate with your eyes before you physically taste it. It's extremely important that presentation should be obtained and maintained. If it's not, and I just throw something on a plate and put it in front of whoever, what happens then? Sorry? Nobody's eating that. And then you've just wasted a whole lot of money for nothing. So you want to make sure that your plate settings are correct. You want to make sure that the food is palatable. And you also want to make sure at the end of the evening, the bride and groom is told that food was excellent. I love the way it was presented. All these things together is what makes you who you are as individuals in the wedding profession. Do not let anybody tell you anything else differently, because that's exactly what it is. You have to nail every facet of what you do down to the T. Now, the last thing is the amusement. Your music can build or break your event. If you have a bad DJ, no disrespect to DJs if there are any in the room, but if you have a bad DJ and nobody is dancing and enjoying themselves, I tell you what happened there. That's the end of that wedding party. That's the end of the bar mitzvah. That's the end of the engagement. You have to be able to have somebody that keeps the momentum going. You have to be able to have somebody that from day one, you got your musical selection, you know exactly what music is about, and everybody in this room and throughout the universe responds to what? Music. Isaac Hayes said it best. If music be the food of love, then what? Play on. So we are going to continue to play on right now. Are there any questions for me? Excuse me? I should continue speaking. Okay, I will continue speaking. It's nice to know that you have no questions and I should continue speaking. But I want to also let you know, before you leave, remember two things I'm going to share with you. I'm going to leave this with you. It costs everything and nothing to lose. In my mind, you are well because you try. Never give up. You never fail. You just make mistakes. Pencils come with erasers so you can rub out and start over. If you are in a business setting and you feel to yourself you have grown enough in the business where you are and you're working for someone else, make sure before you take that leap out, you consider every aspect of what you're getting ready to do. There's nothing wrong with you going forward. It's a lot wrong with you being stagnant. If you are stagnant in one place, there is no growth. There's no maturation. You're not doing anything profitable. If you can get up one morning consciously and say to yourself, I want to move on from this point. you have just gained the greatest asset of life. It's called thinking. No human being in this universe would want to stay at one level in life. Let me see the show of hands with everybody that's very comfortable of where they are right now in life. You're very comfortable. Good. So there's no reason for you to grow. No, you're comfortable. Why do you want to grow? I can accept that in two parts. You're comfortable now, but you're looking for growth later. Okay, so you're not comfortable in where you are. It's always more to life. As my good friend Preston Bailey would say, what are you doing now? You don't sleep. I can't sleep. Money doesn't sleep. When you are the owner of a company and you have a business to run and 4 brides at your door at one time, how can I sleep? You got to make sure that you cater to everybody's needs. And that's extremely important, I must tell you, because I hate to walk up any place and to be told, oh, you know, Ms. Joy, we didn't get X, Y, Z. That bothers me. So I have to make sure that all my brides are together. I have to make sure all of my vendors are responding correctly. I do have a conference. It's called Love and Sunshine Destination Wedding Conference. And at that conference, you will find a lot of people, the who of who in the industry. And the reason for me creating that is because for the beginning wedding planners, for the beginning floral designers, the beginning cake designers, and vendors of such, you get a chance to network with the people on that level. Find out a few things of what they do, how they got there, what the struggle was. It's not always easy coming up on the right side of the mountain. Some of us had to go around the mountain a couple of times to get it right. But then when you get it eventually, it makes a big difference because you can now say, okay, been there, done that, and I've got the trophy. Because we learn from experience, don't we? It's extremely important to know what you're doing. Don't be fooled for 1 minute that when somebody's invited out, like I am invited out and I'll go out, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying to my daughter, no, who designed this? Because when you're in this business, you see everything. Sometimes I have to remind myself, okay, I did not do this. There's no reason for me to criticize it. Just sit here and be quiet. It's somebody else's work. But it's very hard to do that because you're seeing all the wrong things. Now, when it's your turn to perform and to perfect your craft, make sure you don't make the same mistakes that the people's function you attended made. If the tablecloth does not touch the floor and is halfway through the table, don't get offended. That's a lesson for you to learn of what not to do. If you show up and the cake is leaning sideways and they put a bookend to straighten it up, that's a lesson for you to learn of what not to do. A bride comes out of a car and the dress is draping and nobody is holding it and poor thing is struggling. That's a lesson for you to learn of what not to do. Now, as a wedding planner, I always suggest to my brides, pivot your body and slide to the end of the seat. There will be somebody there waiting to help you out of the car. When you get out of that car, either myself or one of my staff members or your bridesmaids, somebody will help you. I hate to see brides schlepping through a place, this long dress running behind you, and poor thing, she's trying to hold the dress and she's trying to walk. It doesn't happen. A lot of people trip that way, and you do not need that on your watch. Remember also, to every custom and every culture, there are certain rules that should and must be followed. Find out who your brides are, find out who their spouses are, find out from them, is there anything traditionally you would like to bring into your wedding? It's extremely important. You're doing an Italian bride, but you're also doing a Jewish groom. What happens there is you have to be able to put the two together and blend it as one. So now you have 2 ceremonies, a Jewish ceremony and a regular Catholic ceremony. You have to be able to know what to do and what not to do. Make sure for whatever reason you are very au fait with what is going on. Thank God for the internet. If you don't know, Google it. It will come up. You want to know what a bar mitzvah is? Google it. It pops up. You want to know the time of the year for certain flowers? Google it. It will pop up. We also learn from our mistakes. You know, at one time I think I was the cutest thing. I'm going to do these nice flowers and they're going to stand up nice, and I've got this nice floral designer and he's going to help me out. Well, I got to tell you, excuse the expression, we had a shit show. Because I got up into the room and all the flowers were doing this. And I'm like, but this is not what he showed me and told me that we're going to have. I had to now physically, literally take all that stuff off. See, this is the downside to the nice, glamorous weddings. Take it all off, start afresh. Created our own situation to make it happen. By the time my bride and groom got there, everything was over. Nobody knew what happened. All this dead stuff was in the back room. But I got to tell you, who felt the blunt of my wrath? Huh? The floral vendor. No. You cannot give me that. I'm giving you money, people's money. Value other people's money like it's yours, because it's yours at the end of the day. They have to pay you. But have that line of respect. If you don't want it for yourself, please do not give it to anybody else. You have to remember, must remember, extremely important to remember, that life is a camera. Focus on what's important. Capture the good times. Develop from the negative. And if things don't work out, take another shot. It's very important to take another shot, because sometimes things do not work out. How many people sitting in the audience has done things that didn't work out? Now, these are the true winners of the game. You know why? You have learned from your mistakes, right? As a wedding planner, I would like dress in heels and I'm running around and putting things together. No, 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 no. That does not work. You have to kick the heels off, get a flat shoe, and run that bad boy. Because at the end of the day, you're going to need to run. And I don't mean on a track, down the convention center, up the convention center, touching every base with everybody, making sure that everybody and everything is on cue. Be prepared for this journey. It's a beautiful journey. But you also have to make sure that you have presented yourself well in the marketplace, because you are marketable. Any questions at this point? Is my time up? My time up? Okay, so ask me a question, anything, feel free. I'm sorry, yes. When is my expo? Oh, October 26th through the 29th. No, it's in Miami. Sorry about that.
Concerned, why do you finish so early?
I'm so sorry. We have to ask the producers of the conference to do more time.
Okay. How do you handle bride or groom that comes to you with a request that you know is not of proper standards? For example, serving certain types of red wine in a full glass of ice. I seriously got that recently. And they insist that it tastes good on the ice, but you know, as a hotelier, that's not the right thing to do. How do you handle that?
Let me tell you a very simple way and very practical. You want ice in your wine? I wouldn't give it to you. I'll give you a glass of wine and a glass of ice. You will mix that yourself. That is what you wanted. Do not allow anybody or anyone to lower your standards once you have developed them. You know for a fact that wine and cheese go together, not wine and bread. It's not communion. But the fact of the matter is, if that's what you want, I will give it to you. That's a matter of choice. But I will not blend the two together. I definitely wouldn't. Any other questions? First of all, who hired you to do a wedding? Who are you employed by? My sentiments exactly. Everybody else are naysayers. Everybody has a wish and a desire. That's not who you're catering to. Your focal point is your bride and groom. Now, if you are placed in a situation where a grandmother, a mother, a grandfather, a father would like to have certain requests made, I suggest you have a meeting with your bride and groom. Iron out all the little idiosyncrasies before you actually say yes or no. It's extremely important that your clients at the end of the day are completely satisfied with what you do.
I have a wedding 2 weeks ago, and everything that was planned and all the meetings, when you go to the wedding, everybody else is coming, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. And then when I said to my brother and groom after, I'm supposed to be in charge of my partner. They take up pens like, oh, but everybody wants to help and do everything. And no, they're not talking to me.
That's all right. That's a good thing.
But I know I do a good job, and everybody keeps saying I do a good job. But the thing is, everything got used because they don't want to let down the family. You understand? Even though they have me to do everything. So it's kind of hard. I know I still haven't got in my stomach.
You still haven't what?
I'm not in my stomach because I feel like, okay, I was supposed to do everything.
Now let me ask you something. Have you done your best at that wedding? You've outdone yourself at that particular wedding. And you're comfortable with doing what you did best. And you're sure to yourself you have done your best. Sweetheart, go home, go to bed. The important thing is, once you have done your level best, and you know you have done your best, and the bride and groom is aware that you have done your best, I am sorry to inform you, well-wishers doesn't matter. We had a situation, 1 minute, darling. We had a situation of a bride. I keep saying to her, have you nailed down the venue? Yes. Have you made sure your venue is paid for? Yes. The day of the wedding, she Stokes dressed like Bill. Wonderful. Jimmy Choo shoes and the 9. And we got up into the country club, and my assistant said to me, there is a problem. She didn't finish paying for the country club. Well, everything is already there. And I asked her several times, make sure that when you book a bride, that the venue is paid for and the photographer is paid for. The food is paid for. Because I'll tell you, after all is said and done, you need memories of that day. It's extremely important. So she got a fit, and we didn't do a good job because it was my place to make sure that everything was done. No, sweetheart, it was your place to make sure you paid your bill. It's my place to make sure that all the vendors and everybody's in place. Is exactly what I did. I did what I was paid for. I have no responsibility paying your bill. So you have to also be aware of little things like that. Some women get caught up in the day of. They're not thinking of anything else after. As the wedding planner, wedding designer, event coordinator, day of service person, have a checklist. And every time you meet with your potential bride, you go down that checklist to see what's covered. That can't happen to me again. Would not happen again. Because until I see final bill, nothing is happening. I am not sending my staff anywhere. Sorry about that. Your question?
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to find out, by the way, I do admire you so far.
Oh, thank you.
And my question to you is, over the years that you have been in the business, what was the most challenging time for you, and how did you overcome that?
My most challenging that I've had, believe it or not, wasn't even on a wedding situation. It was preparing for Lady Gaga at the Diplomat Hotel. And here I am anticipating knowing Gaga. I know we all have seen Gaga with her craziness, the crazy hair, the big shoe. I'm going crazy because I'm like, what can I do to make sure everything runs efficiently and smoothly? Okay, we've done everything that we were told. I met with her personal guy. We went through the rider, make sure everything, but I was going nuts. That was very challenging for me. The minute she opened the door and walked in and she says, oh my God, this is nice. I love you. You did a fantastic job. I'm like, ah. That was my most challenging. Like I said, it wasn't even a wedding. Anybody else has a question for me? Okay.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome home, Joy.
No, thank you.
It's a pleasure having you, pleasure meeting you in person. My question is, as a Jamaican makeup artist, I am looking to target the international market. Are there any suggestions in terms of where I can get information, where I can post? I know Wedding Wire is one of them. I know the social media, but anywhere else where I can tap into and connect would be of great appreciation.
Look for bridal magazines. Look for like-minded individuals. Do a little bit of a video clip. Put yourself out there. Market yourself. Go to bridal conventions like you're doing right now. Hand out your business card. The more you know, the more you grow. The more people see your face, see your card, eventually they'll know who you are. You're speaking of getting into the international basin. I don't know if you travel or not, but if you do, I suggest that you also make use of that platform. It will serve you well. You're welcome. Okay. Yes.
Sometimes you can do your best and still get a bad review from a bride. How do you handle bad reviews?
You can do your, did anybody hear the question? She said sometimes you can do your best but still get a bad review from a bride. First of all, you have to remember and bear in mind, and I'm being very serious about this, 7 brothers, 7 different minds. Some people are never pleased in life, regardless of what you do. You can strip yourself naked and run through the woods. They're not going to appreciate it. You can do all it takes to perfect who people are, and if they're not appreciative of that, it is not going to happen. Providing you know that you have done your best and offer the best service, there is nothing you can do about that. Never offer an apology. I know this is going to sound bad to some people. The minute you start apologizing for what didn't happen, it becomes a beaten stick. You don't want to walk around and say, oh, I'm sorry, I do apologize, I could have done better. No, I could not have done better. I have given you my best. And my best is what it is. Unfortunately, you can't recognize my best. And for that, I am gratefully sorry. That's the end of that. The minute you're going to get into other things, you are developing a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time.